Hey guys, Travis with TechRaptor back at Gen Con 2017. I'm with Oz from Privateer Press, and we are going to talk about their new hotness that's coming out soon.
Okay, so we just launched a brand new faction for Hordes, Grimkin, at Lock and Load. We've got all of that stuff here and it's rolling out. I believe it's all in stores within the next couple of weeks. But the big exciting thing that we're showing off for the first time for real at the show is Company of Iron. So Company of Iron is basically, in a nutshell, skirmish infantry war machine.
Okay.
We took the existing war machine rule base, edited it down into what it needed to be to change certain aspects of the game, and then you build 20 or 25 point armies of primarily infantry, so units and solos, and then you play narrative missions that are done with a different order of activations and some other things to make the game play differently from War Machine. And it was kind of aimed at the existing player base, because a lot of people have models they don't necessarily use right now,
right,
but also at new players that want to get in, but want to do something slightly differently to learn the system than full-on War Machine with Warcasters and heavy Warjacks and all that kind of stuff. To make it work in an interesting, different way, we added a deck of cards, and the cards give you certain advantages and abilities during the game. Both players draw from a common deck, so it's a little bit of an unknown. And so that infantry don't die to one shot, because War Machine's a very lethal game, we added a second system when you're dead to make a die roll to see if you really die, or if you were only knocked down, or if you were partially just injured enough to maybe die later, but maybe not die later. And the biggest deal with it is it's individual model activations going back and forth between players.
Okay.
So that's the massive departure from the order of operations from War Machine games, is you move one model, and then I move one model, and then we go back and forth like that the rest of the game.
So for people that aren't already into War Machines, they're going to be able to pick this box up and get straight into Company of Iron without needing
The starter box has got 2 full armies in it and all the rest of the components you need, and then jumping off from there, you can buy an infantry box or 2 of a different faction and build a small army.
So people that already have them painted up are going to be able to throw those right into this
A lot
game.
of our existing player base has been really excited, because they're like, well, I started this one army a couple years ago and I painted some models, and then I moved on to another faction that I got more excited about, and I just have never done anything with those models. Well, at 20 points, sometimes one unit and one solo is an entire army. So you can really leverage your collection in different ways with Company of Iron that wouldn't be functional with a War Machine army.
And so you guys are showing it for the first time here.
Yes.
When are people going to be able to get their hands on
It's
it?
going to be releasing in October.
October?
Yeah.
So are you guys going to be supporting any kind of organized play system specifically around
We
Company of
are.
Iron?
This game is meant to be narrative and casual, so it's never going to get a hardcore tournament format.
Okay.
But in the first league that we put out in November, after the game launches October, it's going to have Company of Iron specific scenarios, and it's going to have 2 promo cards that are, you can only get available in that are new commander upgrade cards, because one of the other aspects of the game is when you pick an army, you choose one model to be a commander, and that commander gets a free card that makes it better in some way. Like it's a guerrilla commander, or it's a frontline officer, or it's a master strategist or something like that. And we're putting in a couple new cards in that league that you can only get that way.
Okay. So if people show up to Lock and Load, there aren't going to be huge tournaments for this, but there's
No, but there will be still events.
Okay.
Yeah.
And things running at local game stores, etc.
Yeah. And we'll do new content in No Quarter Prime, and possibly full expansions in the future.
So this is a game designed for people that already have a collection, but we've established that players will be able to pick this box up and play from the get-go. What are they going to get in the box?
So the box has all of this stuff in it. So it's got a Stormblade unit from Signar with 3 of their weapon attachment Storm Gunners, and a brand new Signar solo, Lieutenant Gwyn Keller, first available in this box.
Okay.
And she is a full War Machine playable character, because the other thing about this is we're not making new cards for Company of Iron. We're using the existing cards and tweaking rules, understandings how we need to. And then it comes with Pharaoh Brigands and Agata, a brand new character for them, who first appeared in Winter's Wood as one of the heroes.
Okay.
And then cards and tokens and everything else you need.
So even for people that already have established collection, there's even more incentive to pick up this box. And what is this box going to retail for?
It's going to retail for $75.
Awesome. So speaking of Widower's Wood, looks like the last Kickstarter backers in Australia are finally getting their copies now?
Yeah. One of the guys I follow on Instagram just posted his shots of all of his Widower's Wood stuff, and he's in Australia.
So since the backers are getting theirs, people should finally start to see this on store shelves.
Yeah. We are selling it at the show with Deadman walking the expansion.
So after playing the Undercity, I can't wait to get my hands on a copy.
Yep.
And then a lot of people are buzzing about this new subscription box. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That is Mini Crate. So we are doing one-of-a-kind, unique miniatures that are based around our IP, but a different twist. Sometimes more comedic, sometimes more serious in a different way. And the biggest deal about it is they're going to be limited, and we're going to destroy the molds on video after everyone fully gets out there. So expect spectacular destruction of mold videos in the future, because we want to make sure that people know that the however many we sold of that miniature is the only ones that are ever going to be sold for that miniature ever again.
So it's obviously going to appeal to miniature collectors, but are game materials going to come in the crate with these?
So the plan right now is that it is a miniature that is an alternate miniature for a War Machine and Hordes miniature, but it's also for miniatures collectors that just want to hobby the things. So you can play them in War Machine and Hordes if you want, but they're not necessarily only meant for that.
So far we've taken a look at the box of Company of Iron. Can we hop over and take a look at some of the miniatures?
We can go look at some components and look at some cards and other tokens and stuff.
Let's do it.
Yep, cool.
So as Company of Iron is designed to be played with people who already have an existing collection of infantry units, but what can people expect in the box?
So in the box you're going to get 2 full armies. So unlike a War Machine starter where it's the beginning of an army, this starter has 2 forces. You can play Company of Iron at 20 or 25 points, and the box has 2 20-point armies. It's got Pharaoh Brigands, which is an existing unit that's been out for a while, but we're introducing Agata, the Widower's Wood hero, to War Machine in this box, because all the models in this game are always going to be War Machine models too. Anything that needs to be adjusted to make the game work the way Company of Iron works, as opposed to the way the War Machine wording works on rules, is explained in the rule book, and the cards will always be War Machine cards. On the other side of it is the Stormblade unit from Signar with 3 of their Storm Gunner weapon attachments, and Lieutenant Gwyn Keller, a brand new model that's never existed before in any way for them. In addition to that, you're going to get tokens and you're going to get cards, because the cards are a very, very important part of the game. So there are 40 cards in the deck. Each of them has a very unique thing called a battle plan. During every round, you can play 1 battle plan, and your battle plan might give a unit snipe, it might give a unit stealth, it might make all the guys near your commander have more armor, that kind of stuff. And then the bottom of every card is called an asset. So there are things like rerolls and boosts and additional dice and those kind of things that you'll be getting from spells and focus in regular games of War Machine. And so that gives you something, because when you have a guy who's got a low rat and he tries to shoot against something with a high defense, in a regular game of War Machine, a Warcaster would debuff or buff something. But in this, there's not that kind of thing. So we give you a hand of cards that gives you extra dice or rerolls or something like that to hit them. The other deck of cards in the game is the commander upgrade cards. So every commander gets to, after your army's constructed, choose for free a commander upgrade card, and that's going to make that commander even more special. Make them a guerrilla commander or some sort of frontline officer or that kind of stuff. A lot of those abilities interact with the cards in some way and then give you new abilities like unyielding for your commander, and they all give you more hit points too. So your commander will be a little bit beefier than the standard War Machine version of that model, so that it can stay on the game a little more.
So we've established that people are going to be able to take infantry units from the current collection.
Yes.
How are you going to support this going forward? Are people just going to need to pick up new units from the War Machine and Horde section? Or
yes, we're going to keep selling War Machine and Horde stuff and making it all playable in this.
Okay.
One of the other aspects of this game that will be moving forward and constantly updated is the balance of this game, as opposed to how these models are balanced in War Machine, is 2 parts instead of 1. In War Machine, things are balanced with points. Everything uses the same points in this game, but certain things have different jobs to do in War Machine versus Company of Iron. And my go-to example is the Kazi Eliminators. There's a 2-model unit that have a million abilities. They have good offense, good defense, and they're just good at doing their job. In this game, they really, really shine. So your hand of cards when you play a game is adjusted based on the quality of your army.
Okay.
So when you take Kazi Eliminators, it takes 2 cards out of your hand. So if you and I are playing and everything else is even, you would have possibly 5 cards, and I might just have 3. Now, if you take models that are a little subpar because some of their abilities don't function at all, like the Spell Martyr from Legion, who's an arc node primarily, but there's no arc node uses in this game, so he just becomes a melee attack, but it's not that great. So if you put him in your army, you get 1 extra card in your hand every round. So that extra balance there is what skews things between, well, this thing has a job to do in a War Machine game, but it doesn't really do exactly the same in this game, and it compensates in other ways for the quality of like stats for melee attacks and range attacks and stuff, where some guys need a little bit of a boost, but other guys don't, so you get less resources for those guys that don't need a boost.
And so for people that are curious about how their current units or units that they might want to acquire in the future are going to play out in Company of Iron, is that information going to be in this box, or are they going to be able to find that
So
elsewhere?
that's going to be, that chart that shows the adjustment is going to be a free PDF online and an appendix in the book, and we're going to constantly update it every time we release new models.
Perfect.
So No Quarter Prime September is that launch for the new version of No Quarter. It's going to have a trencher section in it, and that trencher section is going to have an addendum chart. It's also going to get updated on the online version.
Excellent. So the game looks great. That's Company of Iron. Keep a lookout for it later this year.